Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. This is episode 404 of Daily Global Insights. And joining me is my co-host Sridhar Chityalaji. Sridharji, Namaskaram and welcome to P Guru's channel.
Namaskar, good morning, and yet another week. Kick off with more world events.
Sir, in Tamil Nadu, where I spend a lot of time these days, there I can get to hear excellent transliterated English. People are saying that balloons flew before, then they'll say nowadays only or before also. You have to transliterate it into Tamil to understand. So, question that is in front of the American public, and I'm sure they are dying to know: did balloons fly during Trump's time also? Trump is vehemently denying that. I kind of don't buy that. Your take, sir.
No, my take is very simple, which is effectively um, Trump is not a person who has got his telescope every day pointing towards the skies to find out whether the balloons flew or balloons did not fly. It is up to the intelligence officials to report to him whether the balloons flew or did not fly. So let's take the case of what happened in the case of Biden, and then I'll put it back into Trump. The Biden officials knew that, and they were tracking, this intelligence officials knew that they were tracking the flight of this balloon. And basically, they felt that if for some reasons, if this information is declared, it probably will have a diplomatic and political consequences as far as the relationship with China is concerned. Now, coming back to Trump, there was no intelligence input which stated that there was a balloon flying or balloons flying over United States during his period. So therefore, in my view, what he is saying is, okay, if it flew, when did you tell me that it flew? And when did I tell you that you should not take those balloons down? And by the way, during my time, the Russians were not trying to play fire with me, and the Chinese were not, be it in South China Sea or be it in the Alaskan region, which has access to the Russians. So, in my view, he stands clear in terms of his position. And if somebody hid the information and did not reveal, so obviously we don't know.
Yes, indeed. And people now are trying to collect the debris and try to analyze what it is that the Chinese balloon had when it went across United States. And I have a small hangout where I'm mapping the path that the balloon took, and that is on our channel too. We will put that link in description section so you can take a look at that. Now let's take a quick diversion to market before we come back to United States. Sir, today the markets are going low, and there is an expectation that China might start taking crude again, which means the crude price might go up. This is the beginning of a week. The stock market is going to start in a few hours. How do you see this week shaping out, sir?
Well, I think there are two data points. I think you saw the jobs report come out. Strangely, good number of jobs means the economy is, trying to regain its momentum. But today, economy trying to regain momentum is not a good news, because that means the interest rates are going to go up. And interest rates going up has two consequences, both for retail as well as for corporate. It brings the profits down. It takes the mortgage rates up, making it not a very easy market to borrow. So the markets reacted on Friday by going down. So Jerome Powell is going to speak later this week. So the fear is that the rate hike will continue, because this means that the inflation is not going to be curtailed. So this is the reason why the markets are reacting very unfavorably. There is another headwind as well. There's no resolution as yet on the debt limit. That's also weighing in the minds of the markets.
And back to United States. Remember, viewers, a few months ago, in fact, probably a year ago, when the illegals were being housed in various five-star and four-star hotels in Manhattan, we predicted that this is not going to be good for the country as well as for those poor, residents, illegals who are now suddenly going to be evicted out whenever that happens. And now that time has come, and guess what? They are refusing to vacate their four-star, five-star accommodation. Sridharji, how is the Biden administration going to handle this? Sir, any freebie, and that too illegals, they've got nothing to lose. They might resort to rioting, sir.
No, I don't think they're going to be able to vacate any of them. They were very, very well nourished and welcomed, and they took them straight into the middle of, right into the heart of Manhattan, accommodated. There's many illegal shelters that have come up right in the downtown areas of many of the democratic led cities, be it San Francisco, be it Seattle, be it Manhattan, be it Washington, D.C., be it downtown Detroit, be it in Minnesota, be it Atlanta. So you find that many of these places now have flourishing illegals, either in five-star hotels or in the main public thoroughfares, and they're just not going to move, Sriji. They're not going to move.
Well, I would love to ask this question of Miss Alexandria O. Cortez. You are in one of the boroughs of New York City. Why don't you throw open the doors of your house to let some of these people come and stay and see how much fun it is? And the same goes for Mr. Bernie Sanders, your head honcho. Why don't you open your, Martha's Vineyard mansion? See what happens. And for the likes of all the progressives, okay, it's talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. You are responsible for your consequences, and I hold the entire Biden administration responsible for this. In fact, this might be one of those things that will turn the 2024 election, I'm afraid, because now we are still having 18, 20 months left, but or perhaps even a little bit more. But think about the pressure that's going to build up as the economy will try to come out. And Manhattan is where people have invested billions. Sir, the sheikhs will start complaining soon, sir.
I think the sheikhs are all leaving, Sriji.
Where are they going to? Where are they going to?
Well, I think that firstly, always Manhattan was considered a good venue as a real estate investment. That's one part. The second, the safety and security and sanctity was supposed to have been preserved. So where would they go? They would probably go to London. They would probably go to places such as Monte Carlo. They would probably go to other venues where there is almost guaranteed safety, rather than the present situation in United States, Sriji, because there's nothing that to prevent any kind of trespassing and usurping of the property unless they have their own private security guards.
Well, there was one episode that I had done a while back where I had talked about two personal security guards of the brother of the Emir of Qatar being threatened with their lives because they dared to sue their boss. And anyway, that lawsuit is now winding its way through courts in Boston. But this is not easy. And what about the Wall Street billionaires and Sentinel? I don't know. The zeros are just keeping on adding up. I don't know where they are going to go. But essentially, this was a huge mistake on part of Biden administration to kind of open the doors of the border, to open the borders with a vengeance and not even checking what kind of people have come in. Today, Sridharji, I told you in the last episode how bad things were. I mean, there is open dacoity going on in the streets of Silicon Valley, where everybody is very educated, people are busy running around and things like that. But there's a fear now. There's a real fear, and if California turns red, watch out. In fact, 2022 there were a lot of borderline blue districts that turned red. So things are beginning to boil up. So let's wait and see how it goes. So let's take a look at Asia news. Indonesia plans to intensify talks with China and other Southeast Asian countries to finalize a code of conduct for the disputed South China Sea. Sir, China already ignored the world court. I don't know, the court in the Hague said, saying that some of these islands belong to, I think, Philippines, if I don't remember, if I remember correctly. They just ignored it. What is this new code of conduct going to do, sir? In my opinion, these guys will do what they think is right.
So you're absolutely correct. It related to Spratly Islands.
Yes.
Remember, Spratly Islands sprung up. It is International Court of Justice (ICJ) ruling, which gave in favor of Philippines, and China said, "I don't follow. I don't agree with the ICJ ruling." So therefore, there goes these so-called central institutions. China and Russia choose, and United States choose, and major powers choose what they think is right, not all these institutions exist to enforce rules against less powerful institutions rather than the most powerful. So, to your point, what is going on here, Sriji, is there is a theme that is going on, which is China is now slowly beginning to use its surrogates to exert pressure in many of the nations, and they're using Russia-Ukraine war as an example, as a use case, to say if you're going to resist and persist, nobody is going to come to your rescue. You are only going to see devastation in your parts of the world. Ukraine is an example. So, for example, if you take ASEAN, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia are very, very pro China, and they are saying, let's not antagonize the Chinese, let's work to a framework where both of us kind of agree. Remember, Indonesia is also looking for investments. ASEAN chairmanship is being led by Indonesia. So Indonesia is saying we don't want to have problems. So let us see whether we can define a code of conduct and adhere to it. And what would be the code of conduct? The code of conduct will be dictated by what the Chinese say. And eventually that may be the ruling dictum, Sriji.
Well, another interesting piece of news coming out of Taiwan, the head of the Taiwan opposition party, the Kuomintang party, if you remember, Chiang Kai-shek had his party's name was the same. He wants to visit China. Sridharji, so do you think, in your opinion, China has captured the opposition party of Taiwan too?
Absolutely, Sriji. I think this is, you remember, we talked about wolf diplomacy. So the wolf diplomacy is at work. I am told that there was a meeting in October. You probably can hear from Elmer or somebody where a policy meeting was held by the Chinese Communist Party with a specific strategy around the attack of Taiwan and how the Taiwan would be integrated. So now what we have is Su Tang. If I'm correct pronouncing his name correctly, the story is that this guy, Andrew Sia, is meeting the China affairs counterpart within China in Beijing, Taiwan affairs counterpart, to have discussions and informal forays in terms of how and what China plans to do if Taiwan doesn't toe the line.
Yes, indeed. And I'm having a request to bring a loot, in fact, an iPhone 14 with the highest amount of memory along with Apple Watch. Well, I don't know. Don't you guys want DGI and other news items? Don't you love me that much? Because I'll have to spend a few nights in jail if I do something like that. At any rate, jokes apart, let's take a look at what is happening with Australia. Australia's foreign minister also wants to visit China to normalize relations. Sridharji, I saw some news about Japan also wanting to do the same. Why this sudden love for China, sir?
The wolf diplomacy is at work, which is effectively, the story is that this is the time. You can see that we sent a balloon over United States. They couldn't even figure out what to do with it. And do you believe that they are going to be coming to your rescue in the event of adversity? I think we have covered this. Asia, or ASEAN specifically, is the largest trading partner, relative to larger than United States as a trading partner to China. Many of these economies are reliant on the Chinese imports and exports. And China has footprint in quite a number of nations, ranging from Singapore to Hong Kong to Indonesia to even energy cooperation that they're doing with Philippines. Less said, the better about Myanmar and Cambodia and Laos. So therefore, I think they are applying the economic pressure, and you can now begin to see there's a systematic pattern of foreign ministers and trade ministers, including Australia, which saw significant decline in its exports revenue because of the brinkmanship that was, I mean, the perceived brinkmanship between Scott Morrison and China, which resulted in reduced trade. That's what you are seeing, the unwielding of the soft power or the hard power of the China and bringing all these people to the negotiating table.
Yes, indeed. And see that if you remember, Kevin Rudd was being called up as, this man has Chinese citizenship. So you have the same party now under Albanese. And again, there is warmth and friendship oozing between Australia and China. Sir, one thing I forgot to ask, and I'm remiss, I'm so sorry about this. Tomorrow, Joe Biden is going to be giving the State of the Union address. So too. And this is, I'm sure he's going to talk about economy, about the fact that the jobs have risen and that the unemployment is at 3%. That will be his main argument or mainstay of his speech. Sridharji, it is very customary for the opposition to put up a rising star or a possible presidential candidate who will rebut the SOTU, the State of the Union address. Sir, who is that going to be from the GOP side tomorrow?
My bet is DeSantis.
All right, that's something good. See, this is telling you. Yeah, go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir. Sorry.
No, my bet is DeSantis because he is the most powerful governor, and he has got enough kind of clout to combat. The mainstream Republicans still have some issues with President Trump. What better way than field DeSantis to do the rebuttal?
And also, viewers, there was another development. The Koch brothers, who never had any liking for Trump, have again come back into the mainstream and saying that they are going to support somebody who's not Trump. So Trump is running into some headwinds now. So we'll wait and see how this goes. But this person who's going to give that speech is a very excellent indicator of which way the GOP is headed. So do tune in and find out. And the next news, sir, is about India. Well, before that, Japan. How do you think, sir, Japan will respond to balloons flying over it? I mean, by the time they spot it, it would have already crossed.
Well, so in my response is that ASEAN has got balloons all over. I just don't know whether there is tracking going on of anything. They have got very good purview or preview or bird's view of what's happening right across South China Sea, right into various nations. They have persistent and constant incursions into the air defense zone of Taiwan. They're all over Japan on the southern and northern islands. How are they going to react? They're preparing themselves with their self-defense forces. They will be ready by 2025, not 2023. So how are they going to react? There's no reaction unless United States acts in any of these territories, be it in Philippines, be it in Korea, be it in Taiwan, and be it in Japan. There will be no response from any of these nations other than United States, which has bases in this country, Sriji.
And viewers, now about India. India's first or the most primary crude importer now is Russia, with almost 28% of its imports coming from Russia. Couple of things about this, Sridharji. One is that I don't see any relief at the pump as far as Indian customer is concerned, consumer is concerned. And if India is importing so much, why is there no relief at the pump? Because that will also reduce the prices for all the essential goods and so on and so forth. And the second question that I have for you was, Russia had said that it was going to ban selling oil to the Western Europe from 1st of February. Is that also in place now, sir?
See, Russia plays very well the double game. I'll answer the second question first.
Yeah.
Europe continues to import gas and oil, and the supplies have not diminished, except the supplies have not increased. The supplies did not go up, particularly gas, because of the situation the favorable situation from a climate point of view. It was not adverse winter. They used the storage. So to some extent, that they have used this, and they are still debating whether the cap should be 60% or whether the cap should be 65%. They haven't come to a resolution. So therefore, until that comes on, the imports will continue to move on as far as the Europe is concerned. As far as the India is concerned, I think I can only give comment on from a macro. It is helping India to manage the balance sheet in terms of the expenses side without the tariffs. Whether it flows into the common man still, that I don't know what complex state taxes and state issues are involved. I don't even know. I'm not sorry. I haven't done enough research to find out whether GST applies to oil or it doesn't
It does
apply.
not. No, it
Well,
doesn't apply, sir. No.
so if it doesn't, then I mean, it's a variable very similar to United States, Riji.
Yes, Sridharji, what the politics of crude pricing is like this, sir. There are 9 states that are going to elections now, and many of them are BJP ruled states. And if BJP wants to make a statement that, look, we are passing on the benefits to you, the consumer, and that will be well appreciated. But again, the Modi administration I've seen tries to make political capital out of every good move that it makes, which means they are going to defer it until maybe after the state elections are announced. Until then, people will have to go through this, continue to do this thing. I don't really like that kind of an approach, but that's what these people do, and so be it. So let's move on to the next item, sir. The India is a core partner in the Indo-Pacific, says New Zealand's finance or foreign minister ahead of the India visit. So he's coming visiting. The G20 summit is now going to have a lot of people coming and descending on India. That's what India is thinking is going to be its shining moment of glory in the world. How much does world exposure help Modi in 2024 elections? Your take, sir.
Significant. I think it is significant. He's building a goodwill that is significant, notwithstanding a counterpunch coming from the left media. I think I don't need to mention to the vast number of Indian audiences. There's a number of articles, videos, and other kinds of activities that are being advocated against Modi. There was a report that came out as we got into the studio. The 2019 elections, apparently there was a US-UK collaboration to run adverse media against Modi and BJP coming to power. So if it happened in 2019, and this was stated by a State Department or a State Department official of United States, this is not a speculation. This is coming from within. We'll probably reveal more details in the next DGI. So therefore, to answer your question, will there be? Of course, there is going to be attempts from the left, but I think it helps India on 3 fronts. One, that India is a G20 power, and I think that is endorsed by, if you believe in rankings, that Modi again emerged as a number one ranked leader in the world. The second, it continues to build goodwill in terms of trade and partnerships with multitudes of nations. Number 3, I think India is also anchoring itself as a key player from a policy making point of view in a number of areas, be it clean energy, be it supply chain security in energy, be it in cybersecurity, be it in space. So it's, I think, building itself very good set of relationships and also as a policy body for G20.
Thank you very much, sir. And now let's turn our attention to Europe. A lot of things happening there also. I forgot to tell our viewers to like this video. Please like this video, because we need to have many more of you listening. As always, we are 2 to 3 days ahead of the mainstream media news cycle. Like what Sridharji mentioned now, we are going to give you that report about how the Western powers tried to see if they could shake the Modi resolve or the Modi government from coming back to power in 2019. And with 2024, effectively, there's going to be a realignment in India's politics. They will have to realign themselves. And that is a topic for a different day. Let's move on, sir. In Europe, a lot of things happening. What is the first one is that there was a massive earthquake in Turkey 7.8 Richter scale magnitude. Sir, that kind of raises down buildings. So 7.8 is massive. Can you please give us an update on that, sir?
Well, so as we again came in, the second earthquake is second, uh,
Aftershock.
aftershock or second quake has also hit Turkey and Syria. The death toll has risen past 1,300. It was around 500, 600 gone past. The world is coming to the rescue, and including India and United States are sending relief and rescue teams to help Turkey deal with the adversity. So any of these natural calamities has consequences, and it's good to see the world sink their differences and come to the rescue to deal with the needs of the Turkish people, Shriji.
And next one is about Biden administration is approving $2.1 billion aid to Ukraine. We already touched upon this in our last DGI. Sridharji, Ukraine, whenever that happened, that when the war stops, it's going to be completely decimated, sir, like post World War II, how Europe was.
Well, I think this is, I think we have covered this several times. This $2.1 billion, as Shriji rightly pointed out, we touched. This is very specifically focused not on ground, but on air. Defending drones, missile system, no F-16s, but other capabilities which will help Ukraine to defend for air raids and attacks and missiles coming from the Russian skies. Too little, too late. And my view is that, as we have stated before, this war should be brought to end. Even if the report was a hoax, if CIA has flown in to find a way to negotiate with Vladimir Putin, I think that's a good job that the CIA has done, notwithstanding Putin claiming it to be a hoax, Sriji.
Yes, indeed. And former Israeli Prime Minister and a friend of Sridharji, Naftali Bennett, now claims that Putin told him that he will not assassinate Zelensky. Well, this is all we have today. Sridharji, of course, is on a phone call right after this to check with Naftali Bennett so he can give us the latest on Wednesday. Sridharji, you want to add to that?
No, I think that what Naftali is saying is, I was a mediator. And during that period, I tried to bring these two guys to the table. And during the time, he mentioned to me that he's not going to personally target Zelensky, and as long as certain rules and certain conditions were met. Why he has slept all these days and woken up today to make this statement, I don't know. Probably, just very similar to the CIA report. This is coming out, which is effectively to say, hey, Zelensky, negotiate, man. You don't continue this, don't battle on, and you will be in power as long as you are saying, just like to Emperor Xi, to Mr. What's the right word? The Tsar, the Russian Tsar, Vladimir Putin, and toe the line. You will be in good shape. Otherwise, you'll keep getting money while we continue to destroy your nation.
And that brings us to a close of today's segment of DGI 404. And please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Sir, this has been a pleasure. We had covered a wide gamut of topics and in a relatively quick time. Viewers, please send us your comments about the format and the length of this program. We've tried to keep it under 10 minutes. We found out that we cannot give you enough substance when we do it at 10 minutes. So we are trying to be around 20 to 30. Today we have accomplished that task. As always, Sridharji, a pleasure having you on our channel, sir. We'll be back on Wednesday. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening.